So I thought I'd shoot a longer form video on the armbar, specifically why it works, how it works, and when you can use it. So let's just start out looking at a few arm bars.
Capture his arm and move my wrist as far down his body as I can get it. I'm going to step right here and gather his head. This is the arm bar. Step, pinch, arm bar. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to step over his head. I'm going to break it here. I'm going to step over his head. I'm going to break it here. Down. Boom. Then I'm going to switch my grip and I'm going to break it here.
So let's talk about why the arm bar works. So a lot of times the arm bar works because your opponent will stop policing where their hands are and where their arms are. For instance, if they're on the bottom of side control, they may try to bench press you off. Well, as soon as their arms leave the protection of their body, they are susceptible to an arm bar. Or in another example, maybe you're in a scramble and your opponent goes to get up and you see hands on the mat or a hand on the mat. That might be the perfect time to hit them with an arm bar. So the reason it works is because the arms are away from the body. They've given you an opening by draping an arm over your body, or their arms are simply straight, or the arms are simply away from their body in a way that you can grab it and create the process by which the arm is locked out. That's why an arm bar works. So let's talk about how an arm bar works. An arm bar works when you are controlling the opponent's arm just above their elbow joint. And a lot of times you're putting a fulcrum there. And the fulcrum is generally a pelvis or a thigh or an arm, whatever the control is that's keeping this part of the arm, right, from your elbow pretty much to your shoulder, held in place. And then you align the lower arm, usually with the thumb up. When they teach arm bars, they generally teach them with a thumbs up position on your opponent. If your opponent's arm can pronate or supinate, then you can't apply the pressure in the way that's going to cause the joint to have a problem. Realize that it only takes 50 to 100 pounds of pressure to break an elbow joint, right? And when you're pulling on it with two arms and you've got it across a fulcrum, you can apply far more than 50 to 100 pounds of pressure to that joint. But as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, we are trained to apply just enough pressure to the joint to get the opponent to tap. But the way it works is you are basically controlling, aligning the bones, and then you are forcing the joint to bend in the opposite direction that it was designed to bend. Right? This is my shoulder bending. I can do this all day long. This is great. This, I lock my shoulder out and try to bend my arm a little bit backwards. Doesn't really work that well. And you can test it yourself by just holding just above the elbow joint and then putting any amount of pressure on this part of your arm. And you want to be on the long portion of this, right? This is a lever. This is a fulcrum. You are using the lever to bend over the fulcrum and attack this joint. So that's how an armbar works. So let's cover just a little bit of when you should be applying arm bars or when they're available to you. So generally speaking, most arm bars are attacks of opportunity. Anytime your opponent's arms come away from their body, there is an opportunity to attack an arm bar, depending on the configuration of their body and your body and where you are in space. But generally speaking, a lot of times I personally hit arm bars when my opponent is on the bottom of side control, where I have access to either arm and I'm not crushing them, right? If I'm crushing them, then I've pretty much locked myself away from those submissions. But a lot of times when you're attacking someone from the top of side control, they'll start pushing with their arms, or they'll allow their arms to leave their body. If you've got a good practitioner and they are protecting their arms from the bottom, you're not, most likely you're not going to get an arm bar. There are ways to force it, but that's not really what you're looking for. What you're looking for is an opportunity, right? You're in a scramble and you see an arm come away from a body, right? Boom, you get that arm, maybe you're controlling the head, you hit a spinning arm bar. Or maybe you're attacking a far side arm and you notice that their hand is on your hip and you're able to hit a near side arm bar. Or from turtle, right? Sometimes you'll get an opponent who's turtling and they'll let you sort of get a little bit of a grip and you can hit the spinning arm bar from the top of turtle. You can also hit it from inside of half guard, right? You're in half guard. They let you get control of that arm. You basically push their head down and you walk your other leg. Even though one leg is trapped, you just walk your leg around them and there's an arm bar. So when can you hit an arm bar? You can hit an arm bar pretty much anytime the opponent's arms are extended away from their body. And you talk to most BJJ practitioners, they're going to tell you when your opponent is starfished, right, their arms and legs are away from their body, is an opportunity to attack. You can attack legs, arms, necks, whatever. It's when you're closed down and protecting your neck that the opportunities are fewer. So basically, when you're rolling, you're trying to get your opponent to expose something. And in this case, we're talking about exposing an arm, making them vulnerable to an armbar. So they're generally attacks of opportunity. Sometimes you can get an armbar from a really hard control, but they're more difficult to get. I like to fool people into giving me an armbar. So that's when you get an armbar, when you can. All right. So let's just talk briefly about training to be able to perform an armbar, right? I am one of those people that believe that you should be drilling for at least twice the time that you're rolling. So for every hour I'm on the mat, I'm drilling 2 to 3 hours. That's just the way I do it. That's the way I've always done it. It works for me. It burns these things into my synapses and it allows me to flow. So I'm not having to think about what I'm doing. My body's just doing it because I've done it so many times. So what I would suggest is that you choose the armbar that you are working on. Maybe it's just the near side armbar. And you and your partner or partners do 10 on each side, right? Or pick 3 arm bars. Do 10 on each side of all 3 of those and do that twice a week, right? Do it as often as you possibly can. And then you get to the point where you ask your partner, okay, start applying some defenses to these arm bars that I'm trying to put on you and see how hard or easy it is for them to escape your arm bar. If you notice it, when you are arm barred by a brown or black belt, some purple belts, it is so tight that there is no escape, right? That you know they've done them 1,000 times, and they have had them done to them 1,000 times. I always tell people the only way to black belt is by losing a whole bunch, right? So for training, specifically for arm bars, make sure that you're controlling the joint above the elbow. Make sure you've got the thumb sticking up, and make sure that you're not forcing arm bars. Make sure that you're trying your hardest to train in the way that you would roll. So have the person make a couple little mistakes and allow you to capitalize. So your partner is going to purposely make the mistake so that you can capitalize on it. What you don't want to get into is a lot of pattern matching. But by pattern matching, I mean you need to know when an arm is away from a body and you can attack it. You shouldn't have to have the person laying on their back with their arm up in one specific way that allows you to get your arm bar, right? You need to just know, look at that. Arms, there's an arm bar. There's an arm bar. There's an arm bar, right? That's what you want to train your brain to do. So for training for arm bars, make sure you're controlling the arm above the elbow. Make sure you've got the bones aligned and that you have tight control of the body, of the person, so that you can execute it in a way that it makes it very, very difficult for them to escape. So as a conclusion to this video, arm bars are very powerful tools to use in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and probably Judo and some other martial arts as well. Once you learn how to do them well, they become second nature to you and you're able to hit them during the flow of the roll in really interesting ways that surprise the opponent and give you the submission. I don't generally throw 2-leg over arm bars anymore. I use a different kind of arm bar, and you can sort of see that in the videos earlier in this video where I show you a series of, 4 arm bars or so. Train them, understand them, and use them, and they will be a great tool for you. All right, see you in the next video. Subscribe if you like this content. Thanks.